I think we can just start kicking it off now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this month's webinar, which is about fraud defense and how you can, with the TD secure your AWS cloud environment with our click-to-run solutions. My name is Fawad, and I'm the Nordic Cloud Solution Architect in TD and furthermore, we have also Magic and Alvaro, who is in the Cloud Solution Factory team and who will also be the technical people to explain more in depth of how this solution works. Please feel free to ask any questions you might have during the webinar, and we will be answering them over the chat as best as we can. So there are many reasons to why it's important to secure your cloud accounts. The most two common reason is to ensure your data and application is not being touched or locked without your notice, but also so that you don't end up paying up for someone else's usage. The biggest cyber attack is currently phishing, which is a type of social engineering attack which is usually used to steal user data, such as login credentials and credit card information, where this culprit is actually purchasing stuff on someone else's behalf, or even actually in some cases demanding a ransom to get the user's credentials back. The examples on the cloud is many, and as written on the slide as well, as you can see, there has been some customers on AWS who has experienced that their monthly consumption has gone from $150 to up to 53,000 due to illegal cryptocurrency mining. This was done by hackers who got access to their AWS account and provisioned a powerful compute power resource and used these for mining. So how do we actually get access to these cloud accounts, you may ask? One of the most common way for the hackers to get their hands on these clouds is, as most people are already aware of phishing attacks, which I believe most of us already have experienced multiple times, either professional but also in our personal lives, where we receive an email from a sender who seems like a trustworthy person. It could be a partner, a company, or even from the parcel delivery company, which I have actually received on perfect timings multiple times, where I actually believe this is actually a trustworthy person. Other way it is, for instance, for let's say brute force and password spy, where they either hack into your account by simply guessing your password because it's too simple, or have some malware installed on your machine to monitor your typings and websites you have visited, which basically allows them to log all your credentials and can actually get access that way. All this is being done by criminals for the most likely purpose of what's called cryptojacking, which is also known as crypto mining. And this is something that has been hyped up a lot the past 5 years. They're using these things to actually spin up server resources in order for them to run some software or batches, which actually does these kind of mining cryptocurrency stuff. So now that we know all of these attack forms and know it's a really big issue on the market, especially in the cybersecurity world. So how do we prevent these things to happen in your company? That's where we in TD have deployed a solution which can easily provision infrastructure in your AWS environment to be more secure without having to do much of an effort to protect the entire house. The solution will help you with the identity protection, instance types policies, and budget control, and alerting as well. So without into more details about the solution, I would rather let the technicians to do the talking and explain in more depth of how this solution can be of help to your business and prevent these kind of attacks to your company. So without further ado, I will give the word to you, Magic. I'll just stop sharing my screen.
Thank you for that. I'll show my screen. So hello everyone, I'm Maciej Niegowski. I'm from the Cloud Solution Factory. team located in Barcelona. I have been in TDC Next for over 3 years, and me and Alvaro are the authors of this solution that we're going to see. So you should be able to see now my screen. I'm in the Stream One Iron Marketplace where the solution is available for purchase. Well, for the deploying. We currently don't charge for the solution, so it's available for free in our marketplace. To access it, we just have to go to the solution listing. You can filter up by click to run solutions. Type SMB, and you should see both the anti-fraud SMB Fraud Defense solutions, both for AWS and Azure. We're going to use the AWS solution. Just click buy now, and once the solution gets configured, you can place your order. That takes just a few seconds. Okay, so quantity is 1, and here the green light is on, so I can place the order. So this will take a few seconds. I bought the solution before, previously, so in the digital locker here in the console, we can go to our solutions. As you can see, we've deployed the solution multiple times already, but yeah, under SMB AWS SMB Fraud Defense, we can see the solution, hit manage, and once the circle loads, we can press provision. So the first step to proceed here is we need access to the account that will be deploying on. So TDC Next will deploy the solution on your behalf, and we need point-in-time access to your account to be able to deploy the script around. So I have to enter my AWS account ID here, and once I'm entered the ID, a validation is run to check if I already have this access set up. If I don't, I can go to step 2, which is create the role. So I'm already logged into my AWS account. If not, you'll be just logged in, and after you log in, you'll be taken to the screen. The only thing to do here is to accept and deploy this stack, which has these permissions we need to deploy. So please don't change any of those values. And just tick I acknowledge and click create stack. This will create a cross-account role inside the target account that will allow TDC Next to deploy the solution. You can go to the template section here and see the list of permissions we are asking for. So we always respect the least privilege approach. So no permissions outside of the scope of this project are requested. And after this deployment is done successfully, after you deploy the script to run, these permissions are revoked automatically by us. So we cut the connection to your account, and you're left with the click to run solutions without us being able to do anything more. Let's just wait for it to complete. It should say here. Oh, that's actually says already create complete. So I can go back to my screen froze. Okay, so I can go back to the landing page and press validate role. This will validate the role that I just created, and if everything's okay, if the role has been deployed correctly, I can proceed to the click to run. So here we have different features separated in tabs. So I'm going to go through all of them one by one. You can actually read here, there's a drop-down expandable widget which will tell you why is it important, and also each field, most of the fields have a tooltip telling you what's being done here. So the first section here is the instance type restriction. Let me just pull up an architecture diagram here. That's not what I wanted to do. Sorry. Okay, now. So what this feature does, it will create an IAM policy that will restrict crypto mining optimized instances. So different crypto mining projects use either GPU, CPU, or disks. So we have identified the instance types that are the best suited for crypto mining operations, and we are blocking the deployment, the usage of those instances, because they are also very costly instances. So if it comes to the situation where your account gets hacked and somebody wants to spin up a crypto mining operations on your account, they won't be actually able to use those high GPU, CPU, or disk optimized instances to do that. So they will have to go with much cheaper and much smaller instances in order to do that. So yeah, here we can actually, here is the listing of those types that will be blocked. So you have the option to allow or deny those instances. So if you have a project inside your account saying, okay, I need those GPU instances, I can untick this, I can allow those instances, and only SS and CPU instances in that case will be forbidden. If you don't want to use this feature, just allow all instances, and this policy will not be deployed. I will leave it as allowed. So we are protecting our account. The next step here is the password policy. So we know that we need, the stronger the passwords are, the better your account is protected, the harder it is to guess those passwords. So here we are modifying the password policy of the account. Again, you can read here why it's important, what's being done. So how many days can pass between your password reset? Let's put 90 days, for example. What's your minimum password length? 8 digits. What's the password history? So the passwords that you cannot repeat. So if you cannot repeat the last 5 passwords, I will allow lowercase characters, uppercase characters, numbers, and symbols. Next step, next feature is the budget control. So here, the budget is an alerting system to control your consumption. Let's pull up the right diagram here. So your consumption can be monitored by a budget, and if you reach a threshold or reach a percentage of this threshold, you can set one alert and second alert, and the recipients will get the alert once your consumption has reached a certain limit. So we're actually creating 2 alerts here that is user defined. So if we go back here, I can set a budget name. This budget name cannot be already used in the account. So I think we have a test budget already in our account. It says such budget already exists. So if I, for example, put demo, that's okay. The period, you can select the period, how often the budget is reset, once monthly. The budget limit is the US dollar amount of your consumption that you want to spend. Let's put something like $5,000. And that budget threshold, we can put, for example, first threshold can be 50%, and the second budget is 80%. So once we get to $2,500, we get the first alert, and then once we get to 80% of that limit, we get a second alert. We also have a third alert that it's based on the forecasted budget. So let's say you're starting the month and your consumption is 0. If somebody hacks your account and puts a crypto mining instance the first day on your account, it may take some days for the first alert to trigger. That's why you have a third alert. That's a forecasted budget. It will tell you your forecasted budget for this month is over this threshold, and you should get alert also. So for now, you put one email notification address. We are working on having more, but for now, it only supports one email. But this can be a group of emails, for example, a group of users that will receive that alert. So that's all I think about the budget control. The next section is the access keys. This will not deploy anything. It's just purely to inform the user who deploys the solution what's happening in your account. So the access keys are programmatic keys to access your AWS account, and they're used, for example, by the CLI. That we saw a lot of situations where those keys were put in GitHub repositories and were leaked, and somebody gained programmatic access to your account without having to go to your console. That's why it's always important to rotate those keys. And we are putting here a report with which users have keys that are older than 90 days. So you can act accordingly to that and to that issue and tell the users, please change your keys or disable them or do anything your company policy requires to be secure. So actually here we have a list of users. You can export it to CSV, you can export it to Excel, and below you have it's a second list with the users that have all the accounts, the access keys in order. So they have access keys or they do not possess access keys, and those access keys are not that old, so there are no issues. Next section is MFA. So we always recommend that all users have multi-factor authentication enabled. So when you log into your console, you will be asked for a 6-digit token that's generated on your mobile device. So even if your password is leaked, somebody tries to gain access, he won't be able to log into the console without that MFA device, and he won't be able to do damage into your account. That's why we always recommend activating MFA on that account. And what this feature does is it will deploy a policy denying every action on the account unless you have MFA. So we actually, if you're a new user and you don't have MFA enabled and we deploy this policy, the only thing you can do after entering the account is actually going to your IAM page and configuring your MFA. Then you will have to log out and log back in again to receive all the permissions you had before. So if you have admin permissions, if you're in the admin group and have all those permissions, if you're logged in without MFA, without multi-factor authentication, you will not be able to use your permissions granted without coming in without logging in with MFA. So I'm going to create here an MFA group. This is an IAM group that will move all the existing users inside the AWS account into that group. Let's just put my initials in demo, and the policy can have the same name. So the policy is actually what's restricting the access. And again, here we have an informative section here. Which one of your users have a virtual MFA device assigned and which ones don't. So this is the list of the users who don't have MFA. currently configured, and those are the users who have. Again, you can export it to CSV and export it to Excel. And also we have put a safety feature here, so the user who deploys the solution, which is me, will not be added to this policy, just to make sure you don't deploy a policy that will lock yourself out of the account. So I'm applying this policy to everyone but me. And if I want to correct that, if I certain, okay, this works, or I have MFA enabled, this policy will not do anything bad to me, I can then move myself into that group, into this group, and have the same policy applied to me. Last, and I also have here, I have here the architecture diagram. So without MFA, you can only go to an isolated IAM section of your account, and you will create your virtual MFA device, and that's the only options you have on your account if this policy is applied and you don't have MFA. And then if you have MFA, you can use all the rest of your assigned policies to access your resources and do normal day operations on your AWS account. Last but not least, we have CloudTrails. So CloudTrails is the AWS native auditing tool that's on AWS. So you can actually go through log files, filter events on what happened on your account. It's not to protect your account, it's to see what happened on your account when some damage was done. So you will have log files, you'll have all events recorded on those CloudTrails, and you'll be able to see who did what, when this happened, from where did it happen, and why it happened. So if you have regions that don't have CloudTrail protection, like in this case, this scan result will tell you your CloudTrail check is not okay. This region doesn't have any CloudTrail auditing enabled, and we have the option of deploying a new CloudTrail, which is multi-region. So if you deploy this CloudTrail, it will apply to all the regions and will log all the it will dump all the auditing log into the S3 bucket that we defined here. So we are creating here a CloudTrail. This name also cannot be taken. So for example, if you have a trail, our single region trail in that region with this name, you won't be able to do it, but this name is not taken, and I have to create a new S3 bucket that will have all the policies, all the permissions applied to be able to receive those log files from CloudTrails. So I don't know if MN demo is available. No, it's not. So this bucket name has to be actually globally unique. Nobody else in the world could have taken this name. Let's put some random symbols. Okay, this name is available, and I'm able to deploy now. So just to finish up before I hit deploy now, I'm going to show the CloudTrail architecture. So every region is protected by a multi-region trail, and we have the S3 service with the target bucket that, through the bucket policy, is granting CloudTrails, the CloudTrail service, the permission to write to this bucket. And here we have all the log files. Those are basically mostly used for long-term auditing. The last 3 months, the last 90 days, you can actually go directly to your CloudTrail service and see the events there. But if you want to go beyond 90 days, you actually have to go to the S3 bucket and search for those log files there. So that actually are all the features that are currently available in the version 1. I'm going to check if all my configuration is okay before I do the deployment. 90 days, everything's okay. Budget is set. Access keys, nothing to do here. I'm deploying this MFA policy, correct. And CloudTrails, I will deploy CloudTrails. So I will run the deploy now button. And I'm going to go now into my AWS account. And I'm in the North Virginia region. This is where the resource, the deployment will be triggered. And let's wait just a few seconds. Few seconds. Oh, I might have been logged out of my account. I'm going to log back in, maybe. Maybe my session is expired. That's why I cannot see the deployment. Enter my multi-factor authentication code. That's on my mobile phone. And I can go to CloudFormation. And the deployment did not trigger. I don't know why. Network error. Okay, maybe there was some outage on the AWS part. Let's try deploying again. Password policy applied successfully. Now it looks like it's deploying. So probably just an outage on AWS. You saw my AWS account got triggered, and I'm creating. You can see I'm creating the deployment now. So let's go here. Actually, the deployment was triggered twice. So actually, it was put into the queue, and now I can see both deployments. But yeah, we can go to the first deployment, because if I put the deployment twice, start the deployment twice, then the resource names they'll try to deploy the same resources twice, and there will be a naming conflict. But yeah, I have this deployment now. It says the creation has been complete. I can go to resources, and I can already see my budget stack has been created. So I have already my budget, and my CloudTrails stack has been also created. I'm still creating my MFA and my VM policy. So we can go to the budget, for example, just to see the resource. I can go to the budget and I can see it here. So this is the budget details. I'm currently spent, as you can remember, we put a $5,000 limit on that. We're at 12%, so we haven't hit any threshold yet. But so there's no alert here. And you can check the same with the other resources that have been created. So this is, for example, the CloudTrails has been completed. So I have my auditing enabled, and yeah, all of the resources have been created correctly. So I have my cloud share, I have my budget, I have my MFA, and I have my VM policy stack. So that actually concludes the demo. I don't know if there are any questions you want us to answer. And we can close this window, and once we receive the information here, it should change the status to active after a few minutes. That's basically concludes the demo. If there are no technical questions, I'll return the microphone to Hans and to Fava. And yeah, thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you for presenting. And I think it was a good go through toward it. I guess that we can take the learning from this and use that toward our partners, and with our partners toward our end customers. So with that, I will say thank you to you all. Thank you, Fawad, Mache, and Alvaro. And looking forward to see you in our next podcast, which will be very soon. So thank you all. Bye-bye.